Def Jam recordings. When I talk about impact, Def Jam is the blueprint. Rick Rubin started it in an NYU dorm in 1983, teamed up with Russell Simmons, and the talent radar was ridiculous from day one. LL Cool J, Beastie Boys, Slick Rick, and Public Enemy showed how far hip-hop could travel. Radio, TV, global tours, without losing edge. Then came the late 90s and 2000s runs. Jay-Z, DMX, Foxy Brown, Method Man, Redman, Ludacris, Jeezy, and Kanye West turning chart presence into cultural gravity. Def Jam's real play was bigger than sales. The goal was to pull hip-hop out of the margins and plant it at the center of popular music, and they kept adjusting the machine to do it. Leadership changed. Jay-Z took the CEO seat in 2004. Rosters evolved, and the label kept finding the next wave. Decades later, the stamp still means something. Veterans like Pusha T and Jadakiss keep the standard high while new acts try to write the next chapter. If you're ranking labels by who shifted the genre's trajectory the most, this sits at the top. Def Jam set the pace for 40 years. Death Row Records. When I cover West Coast dominance in the 90s, I start with Death Row. Launched in 1991, the label built its sound around G-Funk. Dre's lowrider bass lines, syrupy synths, and hard drums, and the results were era-defining. Dre set the tone with The Chronic, Snoop Dogg exploded with Doggy Style, and Tupac's All Eyes on Me turned chart success into a takeover. At its height, Death Row was moving units, owning radio, and reportedly clearing over $100 million a year. The fall came fast. Business fights and street tensions bled into the music industry. The East-West feud poisoned the brand. Pac was killed in 1996, and both Dre and Snoop walked. With Suge Knight in prison, the engine stalled. In 2022, Snoop bought the bankrupt label and started reworking the catalog and brand, aiming to modernize distribution and clean up the legacy. For impact, the case is straightforward. Death Row reshaped pop culture through sound, visuals, and attitude, then collapsed under the weight of everything surrounding it. When people talk about the most powerful runs in rap history, this is one of the clearest examples, brief, massive, and unforgettable. Cash Money Records. Cash Money changed my understanding of how a label scales. Brothers Brian Birdman and Ronald Slim Williams built the foundation from New Orleans, broke nationally with the Hot Boys, and surged off Juvenile's 400 Degrees. The turning point was Lil Wayne. Through the Carter series and an unmatched mixtape run, he pushed the brand from regional force to national standard across the 2000s. The Carter 2 is my personal favorite from Wayne. Hustler Music, Fly In, Carter 2, and Fly Out are pure bangers that I still listen to till this day and know word for word. I'm not a fan of Birdman though. Anyone else feel the same? In 2005, the play broadened with Young Money, a Cash Money joint venture that introduced Drake and Nicki Minaj. From that moment, the roster covered multiple lanes at the same time: rap radio, pop crossover, arena tours, and headline festival slots. Contract disputes and public friction followed over the years, but the scoreboard stayed clear. Multi-platinum albums, record-setting singles, and a pipeline that kept producing talent. When I look at impact, I track continuity across eras. Juvenile opened the door, Wayne dominated the decade, and Young Money extended the run with Drake and Nicki. That three-phase build is rare, and it reset expectations for what a Southern label could achieve at scale. Come on now, show some support for your brother and hit the subscribe button, man. I need the support to keep bringing you quality vids like this. I appreciate you. Bad Boy Records. When I trace the mainstream takeover of hip-hop, Bad Boy is a pivot point. After getting fired from Uptown, Sean Puffy Combs found the notorious B.I.G., God rest his soul, with help from DJ Mr. C, and everything shifted. The playbook was sharp. Remixes that eclipsed originals, glossy big-budget videos, and a clean blend of rap and R&B that lived on radio and TV. That approach turned street records into pop culture and made platinum runs feel routine. The label didn't stop at records. Puff pushed fashion with Sean John in 1998, and the brand flooded videos during Bad Boy's next chapter. Even after Big's death, and after Mace and the Lox moved on, the imprint kept its footprint. Hits from 112, Total, and G.O.O.D kept the wheels turning. For impact, I look at how a label changes outcomes. Bad Boy reframed what a rap release could look and feel like, sound, visuals, and marketing moving in lockstep. That decade-plus stretch reset industry standards and pushed hip-hop from a US movement into a global product with pop-level polish. I guess for now, we'll just have to gloss over the issues Diddy is facing. Awkward. Roc-A-Fella Records. When I explain early 2000s label power, I point to Roc-A-Fella. Jay-Z, Dame Dash, and Biggs started the label in 1996 and bet on themselves. The breakthrough was Volume 2, Hard Knock Life, a crossover run that put the logo everywhere and gave the brand leverage outside music. Roc-A-Ware followed, and Jay stamped it in You Don't Know with the line about making $80 million in 18 months. The label moved like a company with a plan. Music first, business right behind it. Roster building was smart and fast. Beanie Sigel and State Property locked down the streets. Cameron and the Diplomats brought a fresh Harlem wave and a visual identity fans copied in real time. The biggest swing was turning in-house producer Kanye West into an artist. That call reshaped the 2000 sound and expanded the label's reach far past New York. For impact, I look at how many lanes a label controlled at once: albums, fashion, crews, and new stars. Roc-A-Fella managed all four, which is why anything tied to that era still feels big when you revisit it. Aftermath Entertainment. When I chart the post-death row era, I start with Aftermath. Dr. Dre walked in 1996, built a new house, and set the sound for the next 2 decades. The foundation was talent selection and surgical production. First came Eminem, whose run off the Slim Shady LP and the Marshall Mathers LP turned Aftermath into a flagship. Then 50 Cent arrived, and Get Rich or Die Trying. In 2003 became the kind of debut that shifts a whole release calendar. That core gave Dre a new trio to rival his 90s stretch with Snoop and Tupac. The bench kept growing. The Game got West Coast momentum back in the mid-2000s, and later Kendrick Lamar pushed the art and the charts at the same time. Through each phase, Dre's quality control stayed consistent. Beats that aged well, albums built to last, and rollouts that felt like events. For impact, I look at how a label resets expectations. Aftermath proved you can rebuild after a dynasty, scout the right voices, and keep the spotlight on craft while still owning radio. Few imprints can point to multiple eras of dominance with different stars. This one can. Good Music. When I trace my timeline of 2000s label moves, Good Music is a clean case study. Kanye West launched it in 2004, right after the college dropout. The first wave set the tone. John Legend's Get Lifted brought trophies and credibility. From there, the roster expanded with Kid Cudi and Big Sean, and Pusha T stepped out as a solo force in the early 2010s. The brand peak in that era was Cruel Summer 2012. Click, Mercy, and New God Flow ran across radio and stages, and the compilation opened at number 2 on the Billboard 200 with around 205,000 first-week units. It felt like a label flex. Producers, writers, and artists moving in sync. I have to jump in here and claim New God Flow as a timeless banger. I ain't trying to stunt, man, but these new Yeezys jumped over the jump, man. Woo. Another chapter arrived in 2018 with the Wyoming Run. Kanye executive produced 5 rapid-fire projects, including Pusha T's Daytona, which drew rave reviews and a Best Rap Album nomination at the 2019 Grammys. Through all the shifts, the core idea stayed stable. Curate talent, pair it with high-level production, and deliver rollouts that feel like moments. That combination, producer-led direction, and event-style releases explains why Good Music shaped a full decade of mainstream rap and kept a distinct identity while doing it. Loud Records. When I look at labels that kept the 90s grounded, Loud stands out. The roster read like a brick wall. Wu-Tang Clan, Mobb Deep, Raekwon, Big Pun, the Beatnuts, Dead Prez, Exhibit, the Alcoholics, plus ties to Project Pat and 3-6 Mafia. Within 2 years, they dropped 3 pillars. Enter the Wu-Tang 36 Chambers in 1993, then the infamous, and finally Only Built for Cuban Links in 1995. Those records shaped how New York sounded and how street rap presented itself. Raw voices, cold beats, and a world you could picture without a music video. Loud also kept range. West Coast and Southern signings gave the catalog texture, so the label felt wider than any one borough. As rap got glossier on TV and radio, Loud stayed heavy on bars and production that cut through. The company closed in 2002 and resurfaced in 2007, but the core run was already cemented. When people talk about golden era essentials, they name albums Loud shepherded into the world. That consistency, artists with distinct identities, A&R that trusted them, and timing that landed, explains why the logo still carries weight whenever those classics come up. Top Dawg Entertainment. I trace TDE back to 2004, when Anthony Top Dawg Tiffith set up shop in Los Angeles. The early bets were sharp. J-Rock and Kendrick Lamar in 2005, Ab-Soul in 2007, Schoolboy Q in 2009. Those 4 built a nucleus that grew online, packed shows, and pushed a tight creative standard. Kendrick's Aftermath deal became the breakout moment. The Good Kid, Mad City put the whole roster under a brighter light. A year later, TDE widened the palette with Scissor. That move balanced the lineup. Hard edge, rap, and left-of-center R&B living under one roof, and it paid off across albums, tours, and award stages. Even after Kendrick left in 2022, the label's track record held 5 Grammys for him this year, and a Super Bowl 59 halftime moment alongside Scissor kept the brand in headline territory, while Doshi's arrival signaled the next wave. What stands out to me is discipline. A small roster, long development cycles, and releases that feel intentional. J-Rock, Q, Ab-Soul, Kendrick, Scissor, each carved a lane without stepping on the others. That curation is why TDE still reads as a mark of quality, not just a logo on the back cover. No Limit Records. When I think of volume as a strategy, I land on No Limit. Master P built the label in 1990 with a simple edge. Own the masters, control the schedule. That freedom turned into output at a pace nobody matched. After G.O.O.D went triple platinum in 1997, the floodgates opened, projects rolling out almost monthly from 1998 to 2000. The roster kept the conveyor belt moving. Silk the Shocker, C-Murder, Mystical, and even a Snoop Dogg stint. The results were everywhere I looked. Platinum plaques for Mystical's Unpredictable, Silk's Charge It to the Game, and C-Murder's Life or Death. You could spot a No Limit release from across the aisle. Pen and pixel artwork, oversized flex, and a clear brand identity tying the catalog together. The downside showed up fast. That release pace led to oversaturation and uneven quality, and interest drifted in the early 2000s. Still, the bigger conversation No Limit sparked, ownership, independence, using leverage to move on your own terms, never left the culture. To me, that's the takeaway. Master P proved a label could scale without surrendering control, and the industry had to respect the blueprint even when the wave cooled. There you have it, the most impactful record labels in my opinion. I know y'all gonna have something to say about my choices, so let me know in the comments if you agree with me or whether other labels should have been covered. Either way, thank you for sticking around till the end. I'd appreciate a like and subscribe to show your brother some support. Peace out.